2024 is almost done. We're on the road to the Rocket and Ray Gun Awards. We're talking about all of these huge games from this year, but you know what? I've got 10 indie games that you don't want to miss. All right, my friends, let's talk about some of the coolest games that came out in 2024. Yes, you can qualify them as indie games, but they are just damn good games. I've got 10 of them, which are different from some of the other indie titles that I've talked about this year. Also different from the 5 nominees from the Game Awards, which just took place. And we're talking about Balatro, which won the Game of the Year for the best indie game. Excellent card game. Animal Well, terrific, super fun Metroidvania. Very minimalist, but very addictive, very cool. A beautiful game called Neva took my breath away when I streamed it earlier this year. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is also superb, really cool adventure title. And UFO 50, which actually includes 50 different full NES-style games as part of its offering. Incredible games, and all worthy of those nominations. But I've got 10 other indie games from 2024 that you definitely do not want to miss. And all of these games I would rate in between the 8.5 to 9.5 mark. They're all fantastic. They're also all really fun in portable mode, whether you play it on something like the Steam Deck or a Switch if it's available there, or the Asus ROG Ally X. These are great portable games, but they're available across a bunch of different platforms. Let's start with number 10, and that is Grapple Dog's Cosmic Canines. This is from a company called Medallion Games. It's about a dog with a grappling hook, as the name implies, and it's a sequel. There was a Grapple Dog game, which I actually enjoyed. It's got a really cool retro, sort of chunky pixel look to it, so it looks like something that you might have played back on the Game Boy Advance or something. You've got this grappling hook with your main character named Pablo, but in this game you're also introduced to another character that you can play named Luna, who's got a machine gun, and you travel around to these different environments, these different levels that feel like new worlds, and there's all kinds of cool backgrounds and backdrops. Everything is very cutesy and charming, but the gameplay is really solid. You get hooked on that grapple mechanic and swinging to your next challenge, taking out the bad guys, picking up all the collectibles. It's a really cool and very addictive experience. Definitely worth your time, especially if you like to be charmed by a video game. Are you one of those people? Number 9 is The Cub, and this is from a studio called Demagogue, and it takes place in the same universe as their previous game, Wasteland Golf Club, which I actually have on the Switch, and I just kind of put it together that it's kind of from the same world. It has that vibe, that aesthetic. It's an apocalyptic side-scrolling experience, and it evokes things like Limbo or Flashback. It's also got this kind of 90s platformer aesthetic happening as well. You're swinging on vines and climbing up onto ledges and stuff. You're this kid that finds the helmet, that puts on this helmet and can suddenly hear all of the radio chatter and radio stations. So there's cool music in this game. It's a very moody, very atmospheric title, and there's robots hunting you and wildlife that's out to get you as well, and you see the ruins of this devastated Earth, and it's just a really engrossing adventure. It's a beautiful, beautiful escape. And again, this is a great game to play in handheld mode. Looks amazing on the Steam Deck or Switch OLED screens. Really lovely experience. I'm a big fan of The Cub, and this is going to be ignored by a whole bunch of people because it came out way at the beginning, like January of 2024, but you shouldn't miss this one. It's really special. Number 8 is Pepper Grinder. This one was published by Devolver and developed by a company called REC, and it's a really cool action platformer, action adventure title. Again, an awesome fit on a handheld device. You've got a lot of mobility that's tied around this drill mechanic. So you can drill into the environment. You can create new pathways for water to flow, so you can solve different puzzles. And you're using the momentum of zipping through the ground that you're drilling into, then you can rise right up into the air and catch yourself and keep kind of drilling through these environments. It reminded me a little bit of Pixel Junk Shooter in the way that the environment is destructible, and it's a huge part of the puzzle solving in the experience, and it's really freaking slick. They really tuned the precision of the gameplay. It does get a little maddening in some spots. You're going to be fighting some of the challenges, but it's so rewarding when you get past them. It's an incredibly slick game, and you can see why a company that probably has the pick of the litter for indie titles to publish, like Devolver, chose this one. It's very, very cool. Number 7 on my list of 10 indie games you shouldn't miss is Go Mecha Ball, which again came out early in 2024. I actually had the creator of the game, Jacob Wahlberg, on an early episode of Vic's Basement in 2024. Terrific guy. I introduced him to Eugene Jarvis because Go Mecha Ball is a twin-stick shooter, and I wanted to introduce Jacob to the father father of twin stick shooters. So the game does kind of make you feel like you're playing a Robotron fused also with like a Marble Madness, a little Smash TV kind of vibe in there. You've got all kinds of power-ups that you can put on your character, and of course there's a ball form so you can zip around and you can bash the bad guys, and the bad guys get increasingly more challenging. There's ammo depletion that you're always having to consider in this game as well. So you're outfitting yourself with cool power-ups that you can pick up along the way, new weapons and things, but you're also going into the in-game store and purchasing new abilities and power-ups. It's a roguelike, super old-school arcade vibe to this whole experience, and it pops off the screen. It is gorgeous and incredibly, extremely addictive. It's also challenging, and the boss fights can be a real bear, but man, this is a very cool game. One of the most fun, original ideas that I played in 2024. Number 6 on my list is Iron Meat. This is a game developed by Ivan Suvorov, and it is not really original. It's definitely a game that evokes old school Contra experiences. It's super pixelated though, and it's super gory and bloody. There's blood splashing all over the freaking place, and the monsters and these mutant organisms and things that are coming out to get you, whether they're on trains or flying in from all corners of the screen, are just so fun to blast into smithereens. It's also an incredibly challenging game, and it will get your blood pressure up a little bit, but holy crap, is this hard to put down. There's 2-player co-op in the game as well, and if you're a fan of old school Contra games, you're going to be in heaven like I was with Iron Meat. Number 5 on my list of 10 awesome indie games that you shouldn't miss is Thank Goodness You're Here. This is developed by a company called Cole Supper out of the UK, and it really feels like you're taking a trip to quirky British humor in this game. It's about a salesman that comes to this small town and then gets asked to do all kinds of wacky errands, like find a stick of butter for a guy that's stuck inside of a manhole so that he can butter himself out of the hole, and you'll also encounter a guy that's offering you sausages by sticking them through a little hole in a fence. And you're also crammed into the plumbing between the pubs and the houses within this game. It's insane, but the music is amazing and the voice acting is absolutely delightful. And what I love about Thank Goodness You're Here is that it doesn't feel like anything else out there. Well, it feels like you're playing through one of the animated sequences from a Monty Python show or movie. It's absolutely stupendous. It's one of the most clever experiences of the year, and it should not be missed by anybody out there, especially if you're a fan of quirky British humor. You're going to be cracking up and loving Thank Goodness You're Here. It's wonderful. Number 4 on my list is Nine Souls. This is from Red Candle Games, and this is one of the most beautiful games of 2024, whether it's indie or not. It's all hand-drawn. It's a roguelike that fuses this ancient Eastern aesthetic with a cyberpunk kind of vibe. So there's sci-fi elements in here, but also stuff that would feel very familiar if you're a fan of something like Sekiro or Black Myth Wukong. So there is this mystical, metaphysical kind of quality to everything, and you play this character named Yi, who is this master swordsman, and you're going up against all kinds of these robotic and cybernetically enhanced warriors and all of the protection items that they've got in their cool cyberpunk lairs, and you're cruising through these 2D environments, hacking and slashing and dropping exploding trinkets on these characters and watching them explode into chunks, and you're doing your best to dodge and parry and deflect before you go in for the stabby stabs. And it's really addictive gameplay wise. If you're a fan of a game like Sekiro or some of the other From Software titles out there, I think you're going to be in heaven, because it's not easy. Again, it's a challenging title, but what blew me away is the art style is just breathtaking. It is so stunning, and again, looks amazing if you're checking this out on a portable OLED screen like on the Steam Deck or the Switch. Wow, Nine Souls is magnificent. Number 3 on my list is another 2D game. Most of these games are 2D games. It's called Bzzt, and it's from a developer named CoDLL, so KO.DLL. Single developer, worked on this for years and years, and it's very much an homage to the Super Meat Boy style of gameplay, which in and of itself is an homage to like classic early Nintendo single level puzzle platform action adventure type experiences. And what you're doing is you're basically controlling this little robot and getting past all of these traps and enemies that are out to kill you and cause you to explode into a million pixel pieces. And it's so freaking addictive. This is about beating a level and then going on to the next level and playing it over and over and over again. It's a little bit like Celeste in that way, you know, where the death is part of the experience and you're learning a little bit more about about the mechanics and how to prevail and how good it feels when you eventually do. I just adore this game. It did come out in 2023 on PC, so I was introduced to it playing it on the Steam Deck as I was traveling to different events and stuff, and God, I just fell in love with it. It's come out this year, though, on Nintendo Switch, and I expect it will hit other platforms as well. And it's such an awesome pickup. It's so sleek and so cool, and the precision of the art and the mechanics, everything is so polished and tuned. I absolutely adore Bzzt. Don't sleep on it. It's a bit of a weird one in terms of its name, but it is adorable and rewarding and so hard to put down. Bzzt is amazing. I would say a lot of the same things about Anton Blast, which is from Summit Sphere, and it's number 2 on our list of 10 indie games that you don't want to miss. This one just came out, so this is an interesting one because I feel like this would have had way more acclaim if it had come out a little bit earlier in the year. It would have definitely been in the running for one of the best of the indie titles at the Game Awards and other awards out there. That happened too soon, man. We gotta wait till the whole year is played out, and here's a perfect example. Anton Blast is evocative of classic Wario Land games, a lot like Pizza Tower last year, where it's just manic and total chaos, and Dynamite Anton, this character that just loves to blow stuff up, is such a bull in a china shop. He just blasts through everything, a lot like Wario does. And so there's a learning curve to deal with how much explosive damage Anton does to the environments, and as he's cruising around and finding little secret areas and collecting poker chips. He's trying to take on Satan, who has stolen some spirits from him, and he's got to chase him around these intricately designed levels where you get to the end of the level, and then it's like happy hour, I think they call it, and you've got to race all the way back through this level as it's cascading in explosions, or you might be chased by bad guys. And it's just total chaos. You don't know where the hell you're going. You're racing and running, and you're trying to hit those jumps just right, and you're trying to use your clutch move to time when you're bashing through things. There's lots of doors that you're entering and garbage dumpsters that you jump into, and all of these jump pads and stuff that will send you into the background. Lots of interesting plays with the kind of tonal quality of everything. Sometimes the colors all drop out and it's black against red, and it's sheer madness, but holy crap is it compelling and so difficult to walk away from or put down. This game is extraordinary, and it absolutely belongs on this list of 10 indie games that you shouldn't miss. And number 1 on my list, and this one kind of was a slow burn for me, but man, Mini Shoot Adventures from Soul Game Studios, what a wonderful treat this game is. Again, it's another one of these twin-stick shooters that I'm so incredibly fond of, but the whole idea here is that you're playing this kind of humanized spaceship. You feel for this little ship that you're playing, so there's like a bullet hell quality where you're fighting bad guys and there's just bullets and bombs and all kinds of stuff all across the screen, lasers that you have to avoid, all that kind of stuff. And you're also shooting in every direction with your right thumbstick while you're moving around with the left thumbstick, but there's also this overhead adventure type quality to it, which evokes the classic Legend of Zelda games. And so there are sequences where you're basically entering into dungeons and figuring out the mechanics of the bad guys and taking down the little bosses, and then picking up gems and jewels and things that you can use as currency to keep updating your little mini ship. And it's so addictive and so fun, and the music is mesmerizing. I love the aesthetics of everything as well. Again, another wonderful 2D experience that really gets its hooks into you. It's very, very hard to not be addicted to this game, and I absolutely am. It is sheer joy playing Mini Shoot Adventures. That's why it's number 1 on my list of 10 indie games that you definitely should not miss. All right, you guys, I know that's just scratching the surface. I think this might be one of the best years in history for indie games. I would love to hear your choices on other indie games that I missed. Let me know in the comments below, but you should definitely check all of these titles out. Excellent pickups for the holidays as well. Nice little kind of stocking stuffer surprises for game fans out there who may have missed some of these titles, but don't sleep on any of them. All of them are wonderful. And a lot of people have been saying that 2024 wasn't as big of a year or as fun of a year as 2023 was, and we did have some crazy bangers last year. But if you count all of the AAA releases and these incredible indie titles, this was an awesome year for games. A huge part of that were all of these indie titles. Just great work from the development community out there. So much freaking fun. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel with a subscription. We will see you soon. And until then, play forever.